Hey there, welcome back to 3-Day Weekend. Big project today. Really been looking forward to this one. Really been looking forward to it. Stage 5 audio in the Pro XP. I've been running this thing around for 3 years with no audio whatsoever. We just finished putting Stage 2 in it. That's the last video. Put a link in the description for you if you want to do Stage 2. But today we're going to add Stage 5. Now, step 1 of Stage 5 is to install the rear speaker wire harness if you don't have that already. That's a separate part. I got the part number right there. And then we're going to remove the dashboard. But let's get to it. Removing the dashboard is a common procedure when you're installing accessories in this Pro XP. Don't worry about my mess. I'm working on it. But we'll go through the quick version. If you want the more detailed version, head on over to the Stage 2 audio. I show you how to do it in there. We're just going to remove the hood with a couple of screws. We've got a couple of push pins in here. We're going to pull those out. We've got the screws holding on the dash. Then we're going to pop out all of these little trim pieces across the front of the dashboard. There are 3 of them in total. We're going to take out the center glove box, the inside of that. Mind your USB cord. We're going to take out the outer glove box and get that going there too. Then we're going to remove the screws across the front of it. There are 7 in total. And once we have all of that out, we're going to pull the hood up to get the little catches to release. And then we're going to slide the whole dashboard off toward the inside of the vehicle. Next up is removing the seat and the side of the center tunnel console thing. I got to remove the armrest over there too. What a pain in the neck. So get the seat out of the way. Open up the center console. We got 2 little clips here we got to pull out. Oh, pull the innards out. And then we have 4 screws, 2 on each side, and the whole center console lifts out the armrest section. Then we have to remove at least the passenger side. I'm going to try to do it with just the passenger side of the center console here, which has 8 Torx 40 screws holding that whole thing on. I'm also going to remove 1 Torx 40 bolt from the center or underneath the shifter. There are 2 push pins that you can see from up top here. One is right there. Yep, there. And the other is right there. See it? Pull both of those off. It's hard to show you a good angle of those. That little extra thing, you're probably wondering what the deal is with that. That's my carrier bearing grease point there, so you won't have to worry about that unless you have one there. And then I've got the heat system on there, so you'll just have an empty cabinet in there that you don't have to worry about. And we just remove the center or the rear firewall. Upper and lower. We're ready for the harness now. Let me get this all in position. I'll show you how it goes. We got her. There's a connector up there. And a connector. Where is it? Right there. There you go. And it runs across. See the blue little dotted line? They go down. Zip ties on every blue mark. And it goes down. And then it shoots underneath the center console. And there are 5. I'll show you on this one. See the little spot that's in a hole. There's 5 of those across the whole thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then it goes up the side and it clips onto that little ridge up in there. And it goes under this tray and it clips next to the other one from some other harness that I have, but goes under the tray until it comes up and connects over here. It's plugged in. So the rear harness is connected. I'm falling out of the thing. Okay, there we go. Rear harness is in. So now we can go on to actually installing the Sage 5 kit. Subwoofer harness is next. It says to place it in the tray. Next, wiring harness is in. We've got our little fuse mounted right there. And then we ran it out the bottom of this tray. The climate control wiring harness is just not pretty. Negative here, positive here, and then it comes out the bottom right there. And I had to plug in this little connector, the low level output from ride command that was just hanging out just below the ride command, right in this general area right there. So the wiring is in and ready to go. It says to install the sub next, but I know we have to swap out this speaker, so I'm not really excited about putting the sub in first. I'm thinking I'm going to swap those speakers out first, so I have plenty of space over there, and then put the sub in. So I'm going to do that. Yeah, definitely. Let's do that. We got it out. 4 Torx 25s there, 2 Torx 30s there and there. And then, obviously, disconnect it. And we have it out. One of them. Now it looks like we're getting some hex screws out. You know, for first glance, these do not look very different. I'll get it out, we'll compare. Those are tiny. Smaller than a 3mm. There we go. There, got one. Man, I don't know. This one does feel heavier, and it's got a fancy sticker on it. But man, they look about the same. Not a whole heck of a lot of difference in these. Speaker is in, as is that one. So those are all set. Next up are the tweeters. I just played some sample music, and there's definitely a big difference. The lows are still unreachable by these things, but the high bass, if that makes any sense, is present, and with the old speakers it was not present at all. So definitely an improvement, even though those speakers look to be about the same. So they've done something and made them reach lower. Tweeters sounded pretty much the same. But what do you expect from those? Let's get these rear speakers in there. Looks like we're going to install a couple of mounts with some screws that are up there already. And these just kind of slide in and get held down with a thumb screw. It looks pretty good. I need a second person to put my rear window back in because you gotta hold them from both ends, and I used to reach through where the speakers go and I can't anymore. So I gotta seat that down on there. But that is cool, and it is loud. Those ones, I don't know, they kind of remind me of the sound output of the original Stage 2s down here. So I don't know, and I can hear them hissing when you're not playing anything. But I think that is what it is, just because of the way it is with the amplification and stuff. Can't make that better. So they look cool, and they are very loud, although not too much bass. I feel like most of the high bass is coming out of here, but we're gonna fix that in the next step. This is all that's left. Let's get to it. First step is easy enough. We're put on a couple of those. feel a little loose. I'm gonna go put them in a vise. Unless I can do them by hand. Yeah, I'm gonna put them in a vise and make them bite just a little tighter. There we go. Much better. Now they won't fall off. And they're pretty good. I'm wondering, this is my rock light controller. I wonder if that's gonna be in the way. Ha ha ha! Holy Christmas! Well, that was awful. It's not even all the way in position yet, and it's not plugged in. Details, you know? But it is hitting my rock light controller. That little screw, that little screw. So I'm gonna have to take that off and figure out what I'm gonna do to relocate that. Then I should be able to push it up the rest of the way. We're going to hold it into place with this clamp up top, but I am not quite close enough to start a screw on there. Got one. I don't even know if the bottom ones are close, but it shouldn't fall out. Famous last words, right? I don't even know if I can get that connector plugged in there. Man, I don't like this part at all. Got these screws started. 1, 2, 3, all in position. But down here, I have to get one in there. And one in there. I don't know where this goes yet. But man, those are gonna be difficult. I think I should worry about this wire next. This ground. And see if I can get the main connector plugged into it before I go any further. Had to use a 1/4-inch drive with a little swivel on the end to reach up and behind. But those didn't line up too bad. The big red plug on the end, I had to send it as far as I could reach down, and then I was able to reach up around the front edge of the dash. To get that plugged in. Now that I'm looking at this, I'm wondering if I'll be able to put the dash back in, or the center console back in with a speaker. I think I will. Yeah, because that goes underneath. Okay, whew. Sorry. Had to think about that one. This ground strap is going to attach right there when we're done. So it is in position. I'm going to torque these bad boys down. And then it is anchored. Man, they could not have put a bigger sub in that spot. That's crazy. That is so tight. Ground strap, check. Rock light controller, it will clear. There's just a little bit of a gap there, so I just screwed it straight to the firewall. So now we're ready to put the port on top. If I can find it. Here it is. I knew it was around here somewhere. That pretty much just falls right into place. Well, we're on to the next problem. My 4mm hex socket does not fit in the hole. They're tapered as they go down. So I gotta find something else to drive these 4mm down in. It might mean I have to buy a new tool. Bonus. Be right back. Bad news, fellas. I got it tightened using a tool that I had sitting in one of my drawers. So I didn't get to buy a new one. But that was just right to reach down in there and tighten it up. So it's tightened down. So I'm going to let some music play on this thing, make sure everything's working before we begin the reassembly phase. Works! And it kicks pretty hard. It's not a super sub low like I like, but it'll do the trick. Good enough to see it working. I didn't tinker with EQs or anything yet. We're gonna keep going. I gotta put the ring and the guard on the subwoofer. So I've got 4 screws for that. So let's get that put back in. There's no good vantage point to watch me struggle putting this side piece on. You just gotta manhandle it back in there, so I'm gonna manhandle it back in there. It's especially tight with this doggone heater in the way, and I have to push on it to line up the post, and I have to worry about this the grease fitting I got in there. This is gonna take a while, so I'll just let you see it in a time lapse, and it'll be lightning quick. Look at that. I'm halfway. Oh, yep, there it is. I'm done now. Cool. That worked. It's in. There it is. Beautiful. All 8 screws are in, down around the bottom, 4 up and into there. The 2 top push pins, impossible to get to now. So I'm thinking this panel should go in before the subwoofer. But I wanted to make sure everything was working before I button that in. So if for some unforeseen reason I need to take this back out again, I'll put those 2 push pins back in the top. They just hold that top edge. It can't go anywhere. The sub's right up against it. And the light kind of tucked in around behind too, the little blue light. So I think the sub is meant to go in after your main side panel. That brings me to here. I'm going to put the armrest back in. Held on by a couple of push pins first. Push pins there and there. Put that in first and then put the armrest back in. Getting some wiring all tidied up. Got a couple switches I'm going to replace. You know, it's still a lot of wiring, but at least now it's all together and zip tied and relatively neat. I got her down to 2 relays, the master relay and then the reverse automatic lights relay. So that will work. That will work. And I can get to this fuse with just the glove box. So now it is time to put the dashboard back together. I was going to let this sub rip and listen to it, but I've had so many things on for so long, the battery's super low. So I got her on the tender. So let's get the dashboard put on. So there I am, kind of cleaning up, and I thought, I'm going to put that little mat on top of the dash. So I reached down in here to grab the mat and found this in the bottom of the box. Remember earlier I said I made something work? Yeah, this is, they give you the tool specifically to reach down in there and tighten these up. Well, we got it anyway. But I'm going to throw this Rockford Fosgate thing right on top of the glove box right there. There we go. It's in. Okay, to the dashboard. I've had a little bit of time with the stereo now, and I've cranked this thing up pretty high, and man, it's loud, which is what I think you're looking for if you're driving a side-by-side through the trails in a Mach 7 or something. Very, very loud. The sub seems to be breaking in more and getting a little more free. It doesn't reach as low as I would like, but it's kind of what I would expect with the wattage of that subwoofer. Like, I can't touch, I got JLs in my truck, and oh my gosh, it hits so low it shakes the truck. This is shaking it, but it's a much higher frequency, if that makes any sense. Very loud bass, but it's a higher bass in the hertz scale. But it's extremely loud. There's no problem hearing it. If I turn it up all the way, I have trouble talking, if not yelling over it. It's so loud. So it does what it's advertised to do, considering it's only got a 400 watt, 100 per channel, and then the sub I think is 400. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe here if I can find out on the sub, which you wouldn't expect it to reach super low at that kind of power. But anyway, that's kind of how I feel about it, sitting right here in the shop. Let's get that dashboard back together. Get this thing out of here. I'm done with it. Let's go. Dashboard time. We're going to slide the whole thing back into position, making sure it latches underneath the hood as we like. Then we're going to put the screws back in. What are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 screws, I believe. Remember, the shorter 2 go all the way on the outside, and we'll slide that back into position. Then we're going to put the speaker covers back on, 2 of those. Each of them takes a Torx 40, showing off our brand new Rockford Fosgate badges on those bad boys. Then we're going to come around to the front and put the hood back on. Oh, but before we do, we've got a couple of screws and a couple of push pins we got to put back into position. Then we're going to put the hood in position, and that's held in by 2 screws. forgot to mention, we're going to put our pieces of trim on there. I put that one on, this one on, and then this big one on. And then realized I took the bezel off because I was playing with the ride command and never put it back on. So we have to take those off, put that back on. No big deal. And we're going to put in these. Oh, that looks cool. These 4 screws, these Torx 25s, back in. Even though the glove box isn't there, I saw it was threaded on the top, so that'll kind of hold it together, I suppose. Center dashboard is in. Even fixed my latch. It wasn't working before, but it is now. Yay. Not much space left in here. Just enough room for my license plate. Yep. I would put a cell phone in there. There's a bracket hanging down that's kind of low. Smash that right into your screen. So license plate fits perfectly. Yeah, she's all together. Except for, don't mind those, I got to replace a couple switches. But the wiring is in place and done. 3 years it took me. But it's done and it has stage 5 audio. Looking forward to the first drive. But that's not today because I'm about to yank the transmission out of it for another problem. But you'll have to check back next time to see what we're doing on that one. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate every member, every subscriber. If you care to do so, Patreon, really appreciate the support on there, or you can join the YouTube channel. Got a list of supporters up there that support the channel. Really appreciate all the help from you guys. But thanks again for watching, and I hope that you'll join me here for another video on 3-Day Weekend.